Rashida was stunned by the sight of Kirk kneeling in front of Jasmine, a betrayal that felt more like a plotline from a soap opera than something that could happen in real life. Celebrity Insider News. Her emotions swirled as she perched on the edge of the couch, heart racing, trying to process the painful reality of the situation. The space around her seemed to close in, the weight of her disbelief pressing down on her as she muttered in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear, "Can you believe this?" The shock and betrayal were palpable, and as her friends gathered around to comfort her, the storm brewing inside her grew more intense. Their words of support offered little relief, as the pain of the moment was too raw. Rashida's mind flashed through the history she shared with Kirk, the highs, the lows, the shared dreams and goals. They had been through so much together, building a life with the belief that they were creating something lasting. The thought of him proposing to someone else shattered everything she had thought they were. The anger and sadness began to overtake her as she struggled to keep her composure. Her hands trembled, her breath shallow, and the hurt was undeniable. It was as if all the trust they had built over the years had been swept away in an instant, leaving her feeling betrayed and deceived. As the tears welled up in her eyes, Rashida's tone mixed shock and fury. "After everything we've been through," she said, her voice cracking, "we were supposed to be building a life together." The words felt heavy in her chest, the weight of the betrayal too much to bear. The life they had envisioned together now felt like a distant dream, crumbling before her eyes. Her emotions were a whirlwind, torn between disbelief and the deep ache of being deceived by someone she had once trusted with her heart. Rashida was overwhelmed with the thought of how Kirk could allow everything they had built together to be discarded so easily for someone else. The betrayal cut deeper than she could have imagined, and the pain felt like a wound that would never fully heal. As she sat there, struggling to make sense of it all, one of her friends, Mia, leaned in close, offering her comfort during the storm of emotions. "Don't let him take that from you, Rashida," Mia said softly. "You've always been the rock of our relationship. You deserve so much more than this." The words were like a balm to Rashida's wounded spirit, reminding her of her worth and the strength she had within. With Mia's words echoing in her mind, Rashida felt a flicker of anger ignite within her, banishing the numbness that had consumed her. She wiped away her tears, her expression hardening as she spoke with new resolve. "You're right," she said, her voice firm. "I refuse to let him determine my value. I'm tired of being the understanding wife. This is my wake-up call." The emotional shift within her was palpable. What had once been sorrow now felt like the beginning of empowerment. Rashida was no longer willing to remain passive in the face of betrayal. She was ready to reclaim her strength and sense of self. Her friends rallied around her, reminding her of all the ways she had always been there for her family, prioritizing love over hate. They spoke of her loyalty and the countless times she had defended them through thick and thin. Yet, despite all of that, Kirk had chosen to disregard everything they had built. As the bitterness seeped into her words, Rashida's strength grew more apparent. "I've given so much, and he's just tossed it aside like it means nothing," she said, the hurt in her voice mixing with the growing fire of determination. Her friends could see the shift in her, and they knew this was the turning point, the moment Rashida would stop letting her worth be defined by anyone else, especially Kirk. Rashida had always been the pillar of strength for her relationship, standing by her partner through thick and thin. The recent betrayal, however, shattered everything she believed in. As she reflected on the years she had invested, the anger and hurt began to transform into something more powerful: empowerment. Surrounded by friends who offered their unwavering support, Rashida realized that she had always prioritized the relationship over her own well-being. She had been there for him during his scandals and struggles, only to be disregarded when she needed him the most. The realization of her worth dawned on her as she wiped away her tears. It was time for a change. Rashida knew she had to take control of her own life and not allow someone else's actions to define her. She acknowledged the pain of betrayal, but also recognized it as a wake-up call. No longer willing to be the understanding partner, she decided to walk away from a situation that no longer served her. With newfound confidence, she vowed to rewrite her story on her own terms. Her friends stood by her side, offering the strength and encouragement she needed. As Rashida paced, her mind began to focus on reclaiming her independence and future. She realized that she wasn't the victim in this situation and refused to let her partner's actions diminish her worth. With determination, she embraced the idea of moving forward, knowing that she was capable of building a better life for herself. Rashida recognized the strength within herself as she embraced the idea of rising from the pain of betrayal. Surrounded by her friends, who encouraged her to focus on her own needs for the first time, she began to envision a future where she reclaimed her identity. She had spent years trying to fix everything for her partner, but now she understood that her own happiness and aspirations deserved just as much attention. The realization was liberating, and as she shifted her focus, she knew it was time to prioritize her career and dreams. Mia's advice to channel her energy into her music and business struck a chord. Rashida had always been talented, but now she had the clarity and determination to showcase her abilities. Despite the lingering pain of betrayal, she found strength in the thought of her future and her own potential. With each passing moment, her resolve grew stronger. She was done giving away her energy to someone who didn't appreciate it. This was her time to thrive, and she was ready to take control of her narrative. As the night wore on, Rashida's spirit shifted. There was a new sense of hope in the air, and she could feel the transformation taking place. The woman she once was had been redefined, and the path ahead was clear. She wasn't going to let this setback define her. Instead, she would use it as fuel to create a life on her own terms. Rashida now envisioned herself as the star of her own story, confident in the belief that this was just the beginning of her journey, one where she would rise stronger than ever and achieve her goals. After years of enduring endless cycles of hope and heartbreak, Rashida reached her breaking point. Standing in her living room, heart racing and arms crossed, she was ready to make a statement that would mark the end of the emotional turmoil. The air between her and Kirk Frost was thick with tension as he stood before her, seemingly more distant than ever. This time, there would be no backing down, no tolerating the pain that had accumulated over the years. Though Rashida spoke calmly, the power in her voice was undeniable. It was as though the words themselves were capable of cutting through the years of lies and deceit that had clouded their relationship. When Kirk attempted to calm her, running his hand through her hair in a gesture that once would have softened her heart, she felt nothing this time. The betrayal was too deep, and the emotional wounds too fresh. Rashida's eyes narrowed, and with every word she spoke, the weight of her hurt and anger became clearer. The years of trying to fix a broken relationship had finally reached their limit, and she was done trying to repair something that had been destroyed. Kirk's attempts to evoke their shared history and remind her of their family fell on deaf ears. Rashida could no longer buy into the idea that a family could survive on deceit and betrayal. She stood up, no longer willing to play the part of the understanding partner. With her words sharp and resolute, she declared that trust had been shattered beyond repair, and there was no coming back from what he had done. This time, there was no turning back for her. Rashida had finally reached the point where her patience ran out, and the time for change had arrived. What do you think? Where will this drama end? Let us know your thoughts in comment section. Also do subscribe our channel for more crisp content. Thanks for watching.